Welcome back to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we are going to be working on my undercarriage. So not my undercarriage specifically. I've been a busy little bee the last few days. Once the car is up on its side in the rotisserie, it revealed a lot of areas that could use some better welding than I was able to do upside down. So there's a ton of different spots on this car that I've just welded where I can, including the engine reinforcements all along the front end. I've repaired a few patch panels. And the next thing I need to do is take care of two kind of remaining major sections of the car. One of which is this interior piece that I made like a year ago. This thing goes in front of the seat area that I fabricated from scratch, and it really finishes off the interior of the car. The other area is a spot under the tunnel where I'm going to create some channels for my coolant lines to run through. But first, let's get to this bad boy. So hopefully you guys can see this okay. This panel goes right here, and it goes around the roll cage. It fits into this spot. I've got to get this thing in. I've got to make a little panel for down here. And I've obviously got to make sure that these gaps are filled and the welds all are nice. All this stuff is going to be covered with Dynamat and carpet and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not super worried about like how crazily fit and finished it all is. As long as this part, which is this nice curved part, is good, I'm totally fine with it. I'm going to hopefully be able to get it in and weld in this little seam here before I put seam sealer on it. And it's really going to finish off this whole area, which I'm super psyched about. I think I need to do a little bit more trimming on it just to make it flush down a little bit more, but it's super close. Like, it's a really close fit right now. Let me show you guys. All right, so check this out. This thing is really close. There's a little gap right there that I need to settle down because it's sort of rubbing right here. So I'm going to trim a little bit of this. Hopefully this settles down a little flatter, and then this area's got like a wide open hole to the outside, which we're going to have to deal with as well. Probably the same thing on the other side. But overall, this whole area just needs to be kind of cleaned up and finished. And then I'll have this panel in. This is kind of the major last piece of the interior. Then I have another little piece I'm going to have to fabricate here in the front end, kind of wheel well area. But I'll show you guys what I'll do with that. I'm going to do a lot of it from the outside as well. All right, time for some book. I'm on book 4 of the Dark Tower now. Been cranking away. This one's 28 hours on audio, which is crazy. I got 18 hours left. Holes. All right, we are sufficiently cleaned up here and trimmed. That's better. Yeah. Good. Good.
Next level.
right, guys, I've been a very busy dude between that last cut and now. I have completely stripped this front end, and I've done a lot of welding, actually, like a tremendous amount of welding in all of these different seams, spots that I couldn't really get to before, but have access to now that the car's upside down. Finished this, which is what I already showed you guys. Did a bunch of stuff on the inside of here, and also started fitting these rear plates now that I've welded in these little inserts, and they're gonna work great. This one's just tacked on. I'm gonna remove it as I get the 3D print made. So now I'm all taped up. If I show you guys the inside of the car, hi Ben. I've got a bunch of tape in a bunch of holes, and I'm gonna try to keep the inside as dry as humanly possible. I just wanna blast from here and around this section. Now, the good news is the blaster is actually pretty accurate. Like, it doesn't go wildly anywhere. So I've got a ladder set up. I've got to get this thing back down onto flat ground. My buddy Brad's going to cruise over and help me just kind of get the car situated in the driveway. And I'm hoping this thing's not going to take any more than like 10 or 15 minutes tops to blast this undercarriage and get... At that point, the entire car will be completely stripped, which is a super exciting notion. Now, if you haven't already, and if you've made it this far in the video, thank you. A like and a subscribe to the channel is huge for a little channel like mine that doesn't have quite 20,000 subs. And if you can do that for me, I really appreciate it. In fact, do it for all of the content creators that you like on YouTube. If you watch one of their videos, give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and it's really helpful. Minutes well spent. All right, guys, we are good to go. That took literally 10 minutes. This took me, by comparison, doing the front end of this thing took me about 4 hours. And I don't know why I decided to do it. I could have literally done it in about 45 seconds with my blaster. But we're good. I've got a little cleaning up to do here. Not much. It's just like a little bit of sand on the driveway. So I'm gonna sweep it up and then hit it with my shop vac and get this thing back into the garage. All right, so we have a lovely blasted car. This thing, if I wanted to, I could prime literally right now, but I'm not quite ready yet. I still have to figure out that my radiator hoses come around here and they drop in, and this interface has never been very good for me. Like, I've never liked how the hoses go in. So what I'm going to do is actually bolt up my steering rack again and kind of loosely mock up how the hoses need to route. And then I think I'm going to try to create a little more space in this forward lip here so that I can get this hose in there a little easier. So I'm gonna customize some stuff here and see if I can make it work. All right, I've got a plan. What I'm gonna do is for the bottom half of the entrance into the tunnel, I'm gonna cut a square piece of steel. I'm gonna cut holes for my bulkhead fittings, and I'm gonna weld in the piece on the side. I will then fill in each side, very like Fitzy's fabrication style, where I'm creating just the one piece first and then creating all the other pieces. All right, so I've got this firewall piece now, and I've got to decide which side I want sticking out. But basically, I'm going to weld it like inset in here. All right, I'm going to tack this in a couple of spots and see how close we are. I may actually get rid of a little bit of this lip here. I think I'm going to need the room to be able to tighten the buckle down, so I'm going to do that really quick. So the most important part here is that I gained some critical space. This is so tight underneath here, and these things were so close to the steering rack that I think I actually gained an inch or two of space, which is just gigantic in this time. Take you guys a bit closer here to what we're looking at. So this is like that first, I'm kind of doing a little inset thing here, and then the fuel will ride up here, but there's going to be a ton more room for both, which is really necessary considering how close to this steering rack is. You know, I'm thinking about it now, I probably should have just extended this all the way to the top and just built a little frame on the inside, and that's where the fuel would go. So maybe I'll do that and tack this together. We'll see. Okay, I've had to think about this and I'm changing my mind. I'm going to redo this. So you see how this thing is sort of haphazardly cut in the front here? I'm going to cut this thing back until it's flush with the inside of the tunnel, which is going to give me some room on top. I'm then going to make another piece that fits all the way up against the edge. So basically I'm going to have just an inset on the tunnel, which gives me all the room I'm going to need to tighten this stuff down. It also gives me a bit of length on the hoses on the backside, which is great. So all I'm really going to have to do is just make a plate that connects here and goes right up to the tunnel. Then I'm done. I have basically a full inset mounting point for all of these hoses and gives me all kinds of room instead of having it like right here. If you think about where I was, it was right here and then the steering rack was right there. And so to try to get a hose in there and tighten it was like almost impossible. And now this thing really flushes down with plenty of space. So that's going to be the next video. So I'm not mad at all about the progress I made on this video. I got the entire back section of the interior in, welded up a ton of stuff, stripped the bottom of the car, and started this recessed mounting point for all of my hoses. I'm super psyched by how it came out. So what I'm going to do is a undercarriage part 2, where I will hopefully be finishing this thing up and, God's willing, get this thing primed and sealed and ready for undercoat, which is ridiculously exciting. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.